Now, how did I become so fluent in Chinese? Well, watch this video and find out. And hopefully, my experience, my journey can help you to improve your Chinese. 大家好，我叫阿德，欢迎到我的华语角。I'm Ada, and welcome to my Chinese Corner. When I first started studying Chinese, it was difficult for me. Let me go back a few years. High school. I'm doing okay. My strengths are learning languages. From a very early age, I could speak several European languages, and I had no trouble acing my tests in high school. I would go to class, take my textbook home, sit on the couch, maybe watch TV at the meantime, memorize my vocabulary, and the next day have a test, and I would get a nearly perfect score. Sometimes a little bit lower than nearly perfect, but usually I would ace my tests. And it was that up until 18 years old, when I had to choose what to do next. Go to university. A language, of course, but another European language would seem a little bit boring to me. I wanted to try something else. I was already heavily interested in Asian things. So my grandmother is from Indonesia, so I grew up around Asian food, Asian values, if there is such a thing as, if you could label everything Asian, because Asia is very big, different countries, different cultures, but I grew up with certain values. So I was drawn to something Asian. I was also studying martial arts. I've been doing martial arts since I was 11, and I was interested in Buddhism and Taoism, so I would study an Asian language. So I went to several universities when they had an open day, go there, get a little taste of what they were doing, and in the end, I chose Chinese languages and cultures. Back then it was called sinology. So 18 years old, and a bit of a chip on my shoulder when it comes to learning languages. Arrogant, you might say. And I found out that Chinese was completely different from all the other languages that I had learned before. So my first year really sucked. I sucked. Gradually, I got the hang of it, and I learned that you have to completely wipe your mind clean of any other languages that you have learned. You cannot compare Chinese all the time to English or German or French. You cannot do that. So you have to open your mind and just absorb as a sponge as much as possible. It's good to ask questions when you're learning, but sometimes you should also not ask questions and just memorize. So my first year sucked. So my second year went a lot better. I got good scores. After the second year, there was an exchange program where you could either go to China or go to Taiwan. I chose Taiwan because from what I had read and the people I had met, that the Chinese culture, so the religion, like temples and everything, which I'm very, very interested in, was better preserved there than in China because of the Cultural Revolution in China. And immediately when I got there, I fell in love with the country. But my Chinese wasn't at that good a level. That came later. So that's the second thing. That's the second tip. Immerse yourself in the language. Of course, not everybody can go on a scholarship or buy a ticket to go to a Chinese-speaking country. But try to meet as many Chinese-speaking people as possible. Get a language partner, online or in person. it also didn't hurt that 3 weeks into my arrival in Taiwan, I met my now wife. So yeah, that also helped. So when you speak Chinese all the time, because we didn't speak any English or any other language, just Chinese, that really improved it. And then I come to point number 3, analyze. Analyze everything that you hear and see and read. Just analyze. Guess. A lot of language learning is guessing work. Just try, make sentences, make your own words. Because in Chinese, it's very easy to make your own words. So you take one character and one character this. For instance, the word for computer is 电脑. So that's electrical brain. And that kind of logic can also be applied to other things. So, maybe the Chinese would call it this, and then you try it. And then you're lucky. For instance, if you know that the word for apple is 苹果 and the word for tree is 树, but you haven't learned the word apple tree, well, then you go, okay, then you try out 苹果树, and then people just understand what you mean. And then you tell your brain, okay, memorize this word because I was right. And then you build up your own vocabulary that way. So try out new vocabulary, new grammar as much as possible, and analyze every Chinese word and sentence that you encounter. So immediately when I arrived in Taiwan, I knew that I don't want to leave this place. I don't know why, but I just felt a connection to that country. And I still feel it to that day, even though I don't live there anymore. So I was there for an exchange program, but I ended up staying there for 12 years in Taiwan. And I completely immersed myself in the language, in the culture, and in Taiwan it's very easy to be accepted as one of the Taiwanese. So in my experience, I didn't feel as a foreigner in Taiwan. I felt I was treated like anybody else. Also because if you make the effort to speak the language and to learn the language, then people are also willing to help you. They won't laugh at you, they will help you. And after my 12 years in Taiwan, I went back to Europe, and then I was there for about, I think, 2 years, and then I got offered a job to go to China, which I took, and because I wanted to see how things were at the other side of the pond. And it was a lot of the same, but also very different. I could compare it when like Germany and Austria. They both speak German, but they have similarities, like they celebrate Christmas like a lot of European countries or Western countries do. Culture-wise, it's different. Some of the words they use also different. Same as in Taiwan and China. One example, when I first arrived in Beijing, at the airport, I was looking for a taxi, and I was looking, and I looked at the signs, and I saw 出租车, and I thought, I don't want that. I don't want to rent a car. I want to rent a driver. I need a taxi. In Taiwan, we call it 计程车. And I was looking around it, and I saw people lining up, and I thought, okay, there'll be the taxi stand. And I saw taxis driving by. Yes, I got it. And then I looked at the sign that was hanging above the taxi stand, and it said 出租车. A learning moment for me as well. Even though I had been speaking Chinese for many years, I was already completely fluent by that time. Still, I didn't know what that was in China. Now, am I saying one country is better than the other? No. Am I saying that the Chinese spoken in Taiwan or is better than the Chinese in China? No, it's just different. So that's also another thing you have to consider when you're learning Chinese. There are many kinds of Chinese. Some people like to tout that, the Chinese spoken in China is the one true standard Chinese. In Chinese, you call it 标准, which is not really true. Like, you wouldn't say that somebody from America speaks lesser English than somebody from England, because, England is where English originated. Yes, true, but it evolved and it changed into something slightly different. So the English spoken in America, but it's still English. So both are fine. There's nothing wrong with either. So the same thing goes for China and Taiwan. What you have to watch out for is that if you try to speak Chinese from China, don't overdo it. Like, you would hear some people, there are plenty of YouTube videos around that speak the 二话. So with the 'er' at the end, 'er', 电影 instead of 电影, or 眼镜 instead of 眼镜, glasses. They don't do it everywhere in China. So it's only done in a certain region of China. And people like to say that, oh, that is the standard Chinese. But in my opinion, and I don't know if other linguists also feel that way, it is not the one true Chinese. Also, if you emphasize your retroflexes too much. So what are retroflexes? The 知 and the 吃 and the 诗, it will sound very, for me, that sounds very annoying when I hear people try to overdo the 知. 知是我知道. And your Chinese, it hampers your fluency. Not for everyone. Maybe there are people watching or people now saying, I don't have that problem. I speak with a very heavy retroflex, with a very heavy 知 and 吃 and 诗, and I still speak fluent or fast Chinese. That's fine, okay? That's you. I'm just saying it could hamper your fluency. Another thing that you have to be mindful of is the tones. So the tones are very, very, very important. And I'm not going to say too much about this now, but you have to watch my videos about the tones. You have to learn the tones first. So you have to learn the 4 tones and the toneless. And also, what I found out is that in China, sometimes they leave out a tone. So they make a tone that is, in Taiwan, they would say all the tones in that word. And in China, they would leave that out. For instance, a word like 冰箱. 冰箱 is refrigerator, but I've heard people in China say 冰箱, something like this, something like that. 冰箱 instead of 冰箱. And am I saying that, oh, in China they say it wrong? No, it's just the way they say it. It's just a difference. So be aware of the differences. So what helped me in learning Chinese? First of all, and this is my personal opinion and experience, you cannot start to learn Chinese by yourself. And why is that? Because it's a tonal language. The tones are very important. You can learn Korean and Japanese and Spanish or other languages first without a language partner or a teacher, because they have an alphabet and they don't depend on the tones. Chinese does. It doesn't have an alphabet, so you have to have a teacher that tells you, okay, this character, this picture has this syllable with this tone attached to it, and this is how you say it. Because you cannot correct yourself. You might think that your Chinese sounds okay. You listen to it and you go, oh, ma, 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 la, 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 fu, 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 fu. And it all sounds the same to me as a teacher, to other Chinese speakers. But maybe for your own ears, it doesn't. And then you go, what? I'm saying what was said on the tape. I know tape is old school, but you know what I mean. I'm old school. And that can lead to a lot of confusion. So get yourself a tutor. online, in person. Again, that's your own preference, but get the tones right. Once you have the tones right, then it becomes easier to learn new vocabulary and say that vocabulary and those sentences in the right way. Then you can have less personal tutorage, and you could spend more time learning by yourself and just trying it out with other people, language partners, people you meet on the street, whatever. But when you begin, seek out a teacher. Very important. So I learned at university. I was lucky that I started learning at university. Very good teachers, very good professors, both for grammar, both for Chinese culture, for religion, literature, everything. So I had an advantage when I came to Taiwan. I already had the basics down, so I just had to improve my Chinese. But for the beginning, it was a lot of hard work, a lot of study. And that's also another thing, study hard. There are no shortcuts. I've seen videos around where people say learn 100 characters a day or a week, I don't know. How is that possible? If it is possible, kudos to you. But I don't see how that is possible, because native speakers don't learn that many words in one day or 1 week. At university, we started out with 5 characters a week, and that became 10 characters, and you build it up, okay, gradually. Slow improvements over a long time, and those things stick with you. With martial arts as well. If you learn anything, learn it in increments, and then you can learn more. And then as you absorb more, you can learn more. You make more connections. You make more connections with the characters that you see. Sentence patterns, sentence structures, it becomes easier. And then if you've been learning for a while and you see a new character, you go, oh, I know the left part was in that character and the right part was in that character. And you don't have to practice writing it that much because you've already practiced that one before. But in the beginning, that's not possible. It's all new to you. So watch my video on how to learn characters. Sit down, get a piece of paper and a pen, and just start writing 100 times, 1,000 times. Same when you do martial arts. You want to learn the sidekick? Fine. Do it 10 times, 20 times, 100 times until you get it down. And then you move on. That is how you learn. No shortcuts. Maybe people have stopped watching now because they don't want to hear that. That's fine with me. And if you stick around, that's even better, because that means you're serious about your Chinese learning. Another question you might ask is, what textbooks do I use? And I cannot really recommend a textbook. There are some really good ones out there, some really bad ones. But that's also personal preference. This learning method might not be suitable for you, but maybe for someone else it is. So go to a school or a teacher, see what they have to offer, textbooks and other learning materials, read through it and see if you like it. And if you do, cool, then continue your studies. Because I've also learned other languages, and some with teachers, some by myself, and sometimes I would buy a textbook, and within 10 minutes I stopped studying because the textbook is boring and I just don't like it. Maybe it's because the lack of color or too much color in it. Maybe I don't like the lettering. So there are many reasons why you cannot like a textbook. It can be the cosmetics of the textbook. It can be that they start too easy or they start too difficult. So again, personal preference. You have to go and find out for yourself. But the most important thing is that you do it, that you get up and look online for a course, ask around, but that you put things in motion to study. It all starts with that little step that you take. open up your laptop, Chinese studies, if you're serious about it. So this is a little insight in my journey to fluency. So if I can summarize what I've said in this video, first, get the basics. I had that at university. You can get it somewhere else, but find a teacher, get the basics. 2, immerse yourself in a Chinese-speaking environment where you can see and read lots of Chinese. Nowadays it's easy with the internet. You can order Chinese books, or you can watch Chinese language programs on TV. So I will make a video on what shows are available on YouTube to help you with your Chinese that are also fun to watch. So immerse yourself, get as much input as possible and as much feedback as possible. So not only listen, but also try to speak, try to write as well. And the last thing is start studying and keep on studying. Try to motivate yourself. For me, the motivation was I lived in Taiwan and I had to speak it. It's also because I'm interested in languages. So if you are not interested in learning languages, then you're probably not watching this video because you're not interested in watching Chinese. Or you watch the first few seconds of this video and click, that's not for me. Fine, okay? My content is not for everyone. Learning Chinese is not for everyone. I'm not for everyone. So, but I'm here to help you with your Chinese. No BS. No false promises. But I just want to help you. If you've made it this far into the video, very cool. Good to see you're still here. I would really appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe button, so to get more content like this for you, but also it will help with the YouTube algorithm, the infamous algorithm, so I can help more people with their Chinese and show more people how great and beautiful and awesome Chinese language and culture is. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video, and the one after that, and the one after that, and so on, and so on, and so on. Have fun studying your Chinese, and as always, 继续加油